My name is Brian Henry. I'm a park ranger here at Gettysburg National Military Park. Welcome to Gettysburg during our 155th anniversary. Today we're going to be covering in this real-time program the last stand of the Iron Brigade, which consisted of the 6th Wisconsin, which is actually going to be over near the railroad cut at this point. We're also going to look at the 7th Wisconsin, the 2nd Wisconsin, the 24th Michigan, which is actually a newer regiment in the Iron Brigade, and also the 19th Indiana. So what we're going to do now, we're going to move, because with you guys standing right here, I really can't bring up everything that's going on. So we're going to do a couple of minute walk down towards those monuments and where those lines were for the Iron Brigade. You guys ready to walk for just a little bit, not far? Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to walk that way. Okay, welcome to the 19th Indiana's position on July 1st, 1863 during the afternoon. What we're going to look at here is the line. And also I want to point out that Earps Woods, this is where we're at right now. Earps Woods during the time of the battle 155 years ago was actually an open field with trees in it. So it was a cattle grazing area, so you could actually see through to where we were just at, over towards the 151st monument. So you could actually see through the entire area. Down along this area, just down this little trail right here is Willoughby Run. To your, just behind you guys, if you look, you can see the monument on top of the hill for the 24th Michigan. And just to your right, you'll see a smaller marker for the 26th North Carolina. There's going to be a lull in the fight after the morning attack against Archer. The 2nd Wisconsin has taken a major hit, so there's going to be some shuffling going on within the Iron Brigade at this time during this lull in between fights. The 2nd Wisconsin will swap places with the 7th. 7th will still be a pretty good strength. They're going to be put on the right flank. The 24th Michigan would be on the left flank, but they're going to be swapped with the 19th Indiana. We really don't know why that swap happened, but it might have something to do with the size of the 24th being a larger regiment within the Iron Brigade, and also that the 19th Indiana was more experienced during this fight. So they're actually going to be over on toward the left. Now, if you look at the position where we're at right now, this is the position that was given to the 19th Indiana to cover. You guys see what's wrong with this position? We're in a hole. We're in a hole. They're not going to actually go over this regiment over Willoughby Run. They're going to stay on this side of Willoughby Run. They're going to fan out. They're going to actually hook into the left of the 24th Michigan, and they're going to actually extend out this direction along Willoughby Run. Solomon Meredith knows this position is not good. And also Samuel Williams. He's actually the colonel at this time of the 19th Indiana, and Morrow, the 24th Michigan, are not very happy. They say this is untenable ground. You can't defend this. And you look, you know you can't defend this. Like I said, we're in a hole, especially the 19th Indiana. They're really concerned at this time because we are down low off the ridge line itself. Of course, the ridge is actually going to go slope up further. But of course, they put the roads in, which kind of flatten things out. So you got to put that in perspective. And here these guys are down off of it. This is going to become a problem that's actually going to be sent to Solomon Meredith. He understands the situation, but they're going to ask the 24th Michigan, the 19th Indiana is going to actually go back more into Earps Woods itself, form up some breastworks in that area, and defend from that point. Meredith's going to deny this request. They're going to then take this to Wadsworth because Meredith goes talk to Wadsworth. Wadsworth's over me. So they go to Wadsworth. They're going to say the same thing. We're in an untenable position. It's concerning. There's no way we're going to really be able to hold this area. And they're also going to repeat that request to him. Wadsworth's going to say no. This is a very strategic point for the Army's First Corps. Doubleday knows this. They're a commander. takes the place of Reynolds after Reynolds' death. They have to hold this at all costs. That's what comes down the line. Until the last man, you got to defend this point. And they're going to do their best. At 2:30 p.m., Pettigrew's brigade. At this time, Pettigrew's brigade is actually the largest brigade in the Army of Northern Virginia. They actually had come up from the south. They've joined in. Just prior to this, they've actually came in on the day before. They were doing a reconnaissance of force. They're going to run into Buford's cavalry. Buford's going to actually move in, and Pettigrew's going to backpedal back towards Cashtown. Now Pettigrew's going to be in this fight. Pettigrew is going to begin to step off. There's going to be a call to arms at 2:30. The men of the 26th North Carolina, we're going to focus on those folks, as well as the 11th North Carolina. We're going to focus on both of these guys because these are large regiments. These guys are huge compared to the 24th Michigan and the 19th Indiana. You have a little over 1,400 men within the 26th and 11th North Carolina combined. You have 835 men of the 24th Michigan and the 19th Indiana. You're almost outnumbered 2-to-1 here in this entire situation. So it's kind of for these guys from the Iron Brigade, especially in this kind of position. Now they got to defend this entire flank area, especially the 19th or the anchor flank during this fight. Samuel Williams is going to look at this situation, and he's going to begin to look out to his front. He's going to see these Confederate troops starting to come down toward him, and it's going to actually outstand his own flank by half a mile. I can only get in my mind of how these guys actually feel from the 19th Indiana when they see this coming down on them. We do have Biddle's brigade in this. They're over toward the left. However, they're pretty far south. So that's going to open up the flank of the 19th Indiana for any kind of flanking attack that happens. They had no support to their left. And they know this. So it's not, a good sign for them. Lieutenant Colonel William Dudley of the 19th says they moved forward upon us in splendid style, advancing across the oat fields, which lay between us in a perfect line. Asa Blanchard, Sergeant Major of the 19th Indiana, will actually go out 100 yards. They have skirmishers out. The Iron Brigade has their skirmishers out in that area. He's going to go out there and he's going to tell them to skedaddle back to the main line, because they are not going to be able to do any kind of thing to this massive line of troops coming down on them themselves. The 19th and the 24th are going to wait. They're probably going to be hearing the commands and things going on from the 26th North Carolina and the 11th North Carolina. Burgoyne, he's in charge of the 26th North Carolina. You're probably going to hear the guys, Sergeant Major, sergeants, things going on in the ranks as they approach. This entire area is going to be open as well, just like Earp's Woods is. So they're going to be able to see all this going on in their front. And they're going to hold their fire. And they're going to wait. Because the 19th and the 24th know on this flank, they got to do their best and really make every shot count at this time. So they're going to wait. And those commands are going to start getting louder and louder and louder until they reach close to the other side of Willoughby Run. The 19th Indiana and the 24th Michigan will rise up as soon as those men from North Carolina hit really close to Willoughby Run. Willoughby Run's just right there. Look how close they are to these lines. The 19th and the 24th is going to open a staggering volley fire into these North Carolinians trying to come up into this area and to drive out these guys from the Iron Brigade. Now, if we look at these guys from North Carolina, how do you think they feel when they see these guys with the black hats?
Oh, crap.
The 19th and actually the Iron Brigade has a formidable reputation. especially at Bronner Farm, the first real action. They actually go head to, toe to toe with Stonewall Jackson's men, and they don't waver. They stand their ground and they fight it out. They slug it out. At one point, Stonewall Jackson during this fight actually had a prisoner brought to him asking, "Who are you guys?" Usually, all the other Eastern troops, they fall back in a situation like this. The answer: we're not from the East. We're from the West. Different story, especially if you look at some of the combat that happens out west and some of the fights that occurred there, like Stones River and Chickamauga, and you get a whole different picture about Civil War fighting. You get that more of a frontier style fighting out in that area. So that's what these guys from North Carolina is actually going to run into here at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. As they approach, a volley fire will be fired down to the North Carolinians. It's going to stagger their lines, but they're going to keep on pushing forward. Even though they've been staggered, they're still pushing forward towards these guys from the Hoosier State and those guys, those Wolverines. One North Carolinian writes, "The fighting was terrible. Our men advancing, the enemy stubbornly resisting, until the two lines were pouring volleys into each other at a distance no greater than 20 paces. They're on top of each other, slugging it out. None of them are really moving at this point. Pouring shots into each other at 20 paces. You can't miss. If you're missing, then you're not trying. The 19th is really going to feel the effect of all this fighting. Colonel Morrow of the 24th Michigan states, "I have lost and killed and wounded several of my best officers and many of my men. Among the former were Captain William J. Speed, acting major, and Lieutenant Dickey, a young officer of great promise." It goes on with William Murray, the 19th Indiana. He writes, "The slaughter in our ranks now became frightful, beyond description. The dead lay piled up on the ground. They're in piles in this area. And the shriek and groans of the wounded was too horrible for contemplation. But they're doing their best to hold this Confederate brigade of Pettigrew back. We have piles of men laying here on this side of the Willoughby Run. We have piles of men on the other side of Willoughby Run. And they're going to keep on slugging it out. This is going to be considered the worst fight during the Battle of Gettysburg when it comes to casualties and the slugfest that actually occurs here. We're just starting with this program. Soon, the 11th North Carolina is going to begin to probe. What I mean by probing, they're going to begin to shift around toward the left, looking for a weak spot in the 19th Indiana, trying to find that end of the line. And what they're going to find on the end of the line, there's no other troops on the other side of it. So they're going to actually begin to start swinging around on the 19th Indiana. The 19th Indiana is going to try refusing their line back just to try absorbing this attack. Remember, this line is a half mile longer than the Iron Brigade's line. And they're going to keep on trying to hold back these Confederates. And what we're going to do now, we're going to start working way back, because now they're going to start giving way. They're not giving way as running back, but they're giving way as doing this. Fighting, doing this, going backwards, slowly. They're not running backwards. So what we're going to do now, we're going to work our way back up to where we were. By this point, the 19th Indiana is beginning to fall back. Like I pointed out down by their monument, they're actually creeping backwards. They're not running at this point. And every time they stop to reform, they're going to get hit by that flank fire. And that flank fire is going to be deadly. In Civil War tactics, you want to hit the flank. If you hit a flank, what you can do after you hit a flank, you can actually roll up a line. And once that line is rolled up, you can keep on hitting that line, and they'll keep on rolling. So that's what these North Carolinians are doing. They're hitting that flank, and they're trying to roll up the 19th Indiana into the 24th Michigan. Then the 24th Michigan will roll up into the 2nd Wisconsin, then into the 7th Wisconsin. That's what they're trying to do here. So every time these guys from the 19th stop to reform, they're getting hit by the flank by the 11th North Carolina. They don't have a chance. This is when things really start getting hairy, because they've already lost the 19th Indiana some collar bearers at this time. If you held that flag, whether in the 24th Michigan, 26th North Carolina, 11th North Carolina, or 19th Indiana, you're asking for it. That is an automatic, almost a death wish. But that is their identity. That's what flags are. It's an identity. It's also a rally point for the men during a fight. Burr Clifford of the 19th Indiana remembers. He's going to pick up the regimental banner when it falls. He says, almost instantly, a bullet struck the staff below my hand, another struck my hat, and another the left leg, cutting my pants below the knee, and another the right leg just above the knee, cutting the pants. Also 2 others cut the tail off on my blouse in the rear. He hasn't been hit yet. I say yet. Soon you're going to have Crockett East. Sergeant Crockett East is going to run over to the regimental, as well as Lieutenant William Macy. They're going to try shucking the flag. What I mean by shucking, I mean rolling the flag up and shucking it, putting the cover over the top of it. You're a target with that out. So they're trying to shuck the flag into the case, because they're actually getting brutally murdered by holding this thing. Crockett East is going to get killed instantly in the middle of the shucking. Macy's going to go down. Flag's going to go down. Another man is going to pick up the flag. Same thing is going on with the regimental. That's the red, white, and blue flag. The regimental is actually getting just as bad as what the regimental is. Sergeant Major Asa Blanchard, who I pointed out, went out to bring in them skirmishers. He's going to see that regimental banner fall. He's going to pick up that regimental banner. He's going to look at a guy hiding behind a log. He's going to say, hey, take this. And the guy's going to say, go to hell. I'm not taking that. So Blanchard's going to hold on to the flag, and he's going to be hit in the groin area. He's going to tumble to the ground. He's going to start to bleed out. Another man's going to come up. He's actually had wrapped the flag around him. He's going to take the flag. He goes, don't let him have the flag. Take the flag. His last words to this 19th Indiana member is, tell mother I never faltered. And that'll be it. And he'll be dead. They're still going to begin to start falling back as all this is going on. The 19th Indiana is going to lose 5 collar bearers during this pushback, being killed. They can't hold. They're going to begin to fall back even further. Now it opens up the 24th Michigan, because now the 24th Michigan hasn't moved. They're just down. There's like a little stream in Earps Woods itself. There's a trail if you want to go down there later. There's a trail down there. You'll see like a little brook going through there, and it's going to be that area where now the 24th Michigan is going to begin to get hit by the 11th North Carolina and the 26th in the front. Morrow's going to try getting the 2 companies on his left flank to actually refuse their line back. But they're also going to be massacred in that area itself. Again, they're going to begin to fall back. By this time, it's got word down to the 2nd Wisconsin and the 7th Wisconsin, you got to fall back. The 7th will begin to move first. The 2nd is also going to begin to move back out. We're not going to do any more moving because of time. But they're going to keep on pushing back in this direction. I believe if you look from where you're at, I can't see it, but you guys see the cupola of the seminary. They're going to keep on pushing back in that direction. William Ray, as they're actually coming out of Earps Woods, the 151st PA, the school teacher regiment, They're going to step in. They're actually from Biddle's brigade. They're actually going to come up. They're actually going to try stopping this flanking attack going on. And they're going to pay for it dearly. And they can't hold. This thing is a juggernaut. It's a steamroller pushing through this entire area. They cannot stop this juggernaut. So the Iron Brigade, what's left of them, are going to continue to push out into the fields we were just at. They're going to stop, fire around. Then they're going to actually start continuing over towards the seminary. There is a second line of defense in that area with some breastworks. Also, the artillery in the area is going to be gathered up in that point as these men begin to move out of this area. At this time, I keep on saying Solomon Meredith, but it's not Solomon Meredith. Well, I could bring him up. Solomon Meredith is actually going to be wounded through this. He's going to be shot, but then what really tears him up is when the horse falls on him, because his horse is going to take a hit. It's going to fall on him. It's actually going to tear some of the lining from his ribs, and it's really going to, he's not really going to be able to recover from this. But he's really tore up. Samuel Williams. See, too many Samuels, too many Johns. Samuel Williams says that by the time the 19th began to move towards the seminary, there was about a squad left. Squad size of men heading up towards the seminary. Remember, they started out with over 300 guys. Now they got just a small squad size heading up towards the seminary. That's the same with the 24th Michigan. There's like 90 of them left. Not many at all. They're going to set up their positions there, their last stand. And they're going to wait. Then Dorsey Pender's division is going to approach, and they're going to renew the attack, including the attack by Scales. He's going to approach that breastworks. Scales' brigade is going to approach it. That artillery is loaded with canister at this time. And they're going to wait until those Confederate troops get within canister range, and they're going to fire it all at one time. And one gentleman from the 7th Wisconsin will say the men went down like a scythe and mowed them down like grain. It was a harvest field of death for these men. However, things are really getting bad up in that area. We have all these Confederates actually coming down, actually from the south of this, just behind me, coming in through Earp's Woods. By this time, Stone has been forced back as well, forced back towards Cutler's position in She's Woods. You got a lot of stuff going on here during this fight. They flanked us. Sound familiar? This is William Ray, the 7th Wisconsin. We had to fall back, and they kept flanking us. They kept falling back, and they kept flanking us. They're going to take their position within that defensive line. They can't hold any longer. Samuel Williams writes, the word's finally going to be given to fall back through the town. I saw our retreat was anything but orderly and retired. Each to care for himself through the town. Every man for himself. That's the word comes out. Rufus Dawes, railroad cut, 6 Wisconsin. I haven't mentioned them all, have I? They're going to actually help cover this retreat. And they're going to be going through the streets of Gettysburg. And Rufus Dawes is going to say, 3 cheers for the old Union. 3 cheers for the 6th Wisconsin. As they keep on pushing back. And they will make it back, what's left of them, back towards Cemetery Hill, where they're going to regroup what is left of them. Of the 1,883 men of the Iron Brigade engaged in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, 1,153 were going to be either killed, wounded, or missing. This only left the brigade with an effective force of 730. Until the many wounded and missing returned to their regiments later on at the end of 63 into 64. The 19th Indiana brought 339 men into this engagement on McPherson's Ridge and lost 27 killed, 133 wounded, and 50 missing. A loss percentage of 63%. The 24th Michigan again came in with 496 men. They're going to suffer 363 casualties, either killed, wounded, and missing. The Iron Brigade will more than likely, they're going to cease to exist from this point on as a really hard-fighting, effective force in the Army of the Potomac. There's not many of them left. Later on, 64, 65, you're going to see the 19th actually merged in with the 20th Indiana. It's been brutal. This fight has been horrible. And to end the program, I end it with the words of taps. And we're going to do that right now, just in remembrance of these men, both North and South, that sacrificed their lives here on this field. And it goes like this. The day is done. Gone the sun. From the mountains, from the hills to the sky. All is well. Safely rest, for God is nigh. And I thank you guys for coming to this real time. I hope you guys